Okay, we are live on Facebook, and I think this is number 6, if I'm not mistaken, 6 or 7. We took a little bit of a break because things were progressing along nicely, but we have a lot of new things to share with the change of seasons and change in some orders that have been going on. And we always like to start out on a light note. At the beginning of the winter, I noticed on Facebook that Mark Souza bought a brand new snowblower. And a couple of weeks, and I thanked him for no snow all winter. A couple of weeks ago, he asked me if he could put it away. And that week, I think we had a forecast of snow, and I can't believe it, but we've got a forecast of snow this weekend too. So, yeah. So I'm taking the blame. It's coming back to me, Mark. But I hope you get a little bit. I hope you put a mile on that thing by the end of the year, maybe.
I'll pull it back out for you, Jack.
But thank you all for coming on today. We have Jason Silva, Bob Picariello, Andrew Petty, and Mark Souza. Mark's a new guest as Marblehead's Harbormaster. And while we get some questions going here, we'll have a brief statement from each one of you all, and we'll start with Jason Silva, Town Administrator.
Okay, thanks, Jack. As I'm sure you all know, the governor has issued an order that went into effect yesterday to require face coverings when you leave your home and are unable to social distance. And we all know the Board of Health has also issued an advisory on cloth face coverings, strongly advising the use of them when not at home. With warmer weather approaching, thank goodness, even though despite the snow forecast, it will also be more important than ever to remember that we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and taking these safety precautions remains critical to stemming the spread of the virus. The governor has also announced that retail businesses can open up to online and phone orders and will now be able to staff up to allow the fulfillment of these orders by mail or delivery. So please continue to support our local retailers and restaurants. They are working hard to stay open and being creative and using innovative ways to continue to serve the community. The state has also extended the date of the stay-at-home advisory to the 18th. At that time, the governor's reopening advisory board will be prepared to present a reopening plan they put together. In order for that plan to be initiated, public health metrics will need to be met, which would include 10 to 14 days of downward trend of COVID-19 cases. It is expected that any reopening plan will be a phased process for certain industries, and some industries individually may have to open in a phased manner. The state's also on the forefront of a statewide contact tracing effort. The Commonwealth has partnered with the Partners in Health to work with local boards of health to support their contact tracing efforts. Please answer calls with 833 or 857 area codes and support the state's contact tracing program. These calls are from the Mass COVID team conducting these statewide efforts. Senate Ways and Means Committee has released legislation that seeks to address several issues for municipalities. One of them is dealing with town meeting. The state legislation mirrors the decision of the Marblehead Board of Selectmen and ultimately Superior Court to allow for a reduction in quorum to no less than 10% of the town's quorum requirement. And if the quorum requirement is reduced, only articles related to the 21 budget can be considered. The Board of Selectmen's decision in Marblehead has become a model statewide. The good news is that the positive test rates are now under 20% statewide, and the hospital rates are trending in the right direction. It seems we're finally on the right side of the curve. Due to these factors, the governor's face covering order, combined with the fact that we are seeing rates slowly drop statewide, the town reopened the causeway to pedestrians yesterday, the same day the governor's order went into effect. However, we should not forget that in Marblehead, our 2 long-term care facilities have sadly experienced clusters of positive COVID-19 diagnoses, which have increased our overall case count and deaths due to the virus. We would like to extend our deepest sympathies and condolences to the families that are grieving these losses. The Board of Selectmen has also requested we put together a return to work working group that has its first meeting planned for this week. We'll be talking about what needs to be done, physical alterations to buildings, building interiors, policies, etc., to safely welcome back town employees to the workplace and eventually the public back to town buildings. As a reminder, the municipal election is scheduled to take place on June 16th. Early and absentee ballots are available on applications are available on the town's website at marblehead.org. The town clerk is also planning to send a direct mailing out to all registered voter households with an early voter application. Clerk is encouraging all residents to vote through mail when at all possible. I completely understand that the situation has lasted longer than all of us had hoped. And as time passes, it's more and more difficult to stay at home and even social distance, but it's critical to stem the spread of COVID-19. We collectively request that you continue to adhere to social distancing guidelines to keep the community and its residents healthy and safe. Thank you to everyone in the community for their support of the town during these unprecedented times, especially to town employees who have done a terrific job in maintaining services and keeping town functions operating effectively under unusual circumstances. The town's volunteer, regulatory, and other boards and committees who have continued to meet during this time are doing a great service to the town. And I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen for their leadership, counsel, and frequent guidance as the town continues to make decisions with the best interests of the community always in mind. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And definitely voting by mail is probably the voting, the municipal voting in May is going to be the next opportunity that we have to face where people are going to want to get together. So that vote by mail order is very good. And can people reach out to the town clerk's office? Is that the best way to do that, Jason, or on their website?
It's right on the website too. It's June 16th. So yeah, they can reach out to the clerk's office directly or just go right on the website and there's links to the early ballot application.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Director of Public Health, Andrew Petty.
So yeah, unfortunately, our case count continues to climb. Yesterday we're at 158 total positive cases so far. And as Jason said, yeah, unfortunately, it has gotten into our long-term care facilities. And, that is really unfortunate. And with that's going to come, quite a few deaths, unfortunately. So, we need to remain vigilant about what we do. It's important to wear your facial covering when outside and you're unable to properly social distance yourself. As always, you need to remember to wash your hands and follow all the guidelines that are put into place by CDC, MassGov, and all the appropriate establishments. It is important for people to really read and understand the governor's order that went into effect yesterday. I recommend that you go to mass.gov or to the town website to read the order, and so that you fully understand what is required by people. It doesn't help if everybody starts to call everybody out. Please read the order and understand that. With that, it's important for businesses to go back online to mass.gov to understand the new changes for non-essential businesses and what you can and cannot do. There's some new guidelines that allow these businesses to operate slightly differently now. And that should help with the Mother's Day coming this Sunday. So please take a look at that. We have emailed that out to Beth Ferris of the Chamber, and hopefully that has gotten to a lot of businesses. Yeah, with the contact tracing that we have now engaged with Partners in Health, it's also important that, yes, there are some numbers that you're going to not know, but it's important to answer your phone at this point. We will also be calling from our office in our private cell numbers that, they're government cell phones. So please pick up the phone. If we're unable to reach you, we will leave a contact number. So please call us back. That is really important. The quicker that we can get to these people, the faster we can make a difference. So that's, please pick up the phone and reach out to us. But with that, we continue on day-to-day activities. We're really busy now. And my feeling is that as we start to open things up, I'm going to become even more busy. So unfortunately, our workload is just going to increase. It's not going to go down. We understand that, we really want to get through this as best as possible. But please be patient with us. These decisions are not easy. We take a lot of time to review everything. There's a team that looks at everything together. So it's not just one person making decisions. But if you have questions, reach out to us. We're available by phone and our emails. Please use the best source of information possible to you. Marblehead webpage, mass.gov, or email us. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. And you bring up a good point. I mean, every case that you hear about, you need to put a process in place, and that I can't imagine. It must be incredibly detailed and taking up a lot of man hours and a lot of time to do that. So
Yeah, and right now it's not that bad because most people have been in their homes, but once things start to open up and people go back to work, the number of contacts just multiplies, exponentially. And so that work and that time required to that is just sort of going to explode for us. And that's why the idea is with Partners in Health. And also we're trying to look at some other alternatives with MIT and other groups like that.
great. Thank you. Let's check in with Mark Souza and find out what's going on. It's nice to see more boats going in the harbor. My Instagram post from my Good Morning post from this morning was Dave Haley launching floats, and it's a great time of year, but things are going to be a lot different. What's going on, Mark?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. I'll go out, touch on a few important subjects that are going on with our facilities and operations. First of all, Riverhead, the ramp is based on a schedule put together by Parks and Rec, and that is available on the town website under their page. And that's just to help our boaters get their boats on the water. They're on trailers, whatnot. But you have to adhere to the regulations that they have in place on that sign up sheet. And we will have people monitoring that area, help keep some order, as well as some questions and whatever other needs they might have. The other thing is with my office and what I'm trying to get accomplished here is, first of all, public safety is the first and utmost concern that I have. And that being said, social distancing and the regulations put by the CDC, the governor, and our health department doesn't end at the seashore. It continues on into our harbor and into the waterways. That is at the jurisdiction of our town of Marblehead. And I'm hoping that our public can adhere to those regulations. We'd like to set a good example throughout the state, being our harbor is one of the highest concentration of boats with the least amount of access per boat compared to other communities. So we do have challenges there. That being said, our public access areas, which are our floats, our piers, whatnot, we're slowly getting our signage to those areas to explain what the expectations are of the public. And those expectations are exactly what follows with the guidelines with the state, CDC, and with what the town of Marblehead has put in place. Face masks must be worn at all times on piers, gangways, and floats. That's imperative. The tie-up on our public floats, Village Street, Tucker's, State Street, Patterson / Stramski's, is a live tie-up. You cannot leave your boats there for periods of time. It's for loading and unloading only, and you must adhere to those regulations, the 6 feet, face masks, and just be conscious of other people around you. People are coming in not just from land, but from boat, vice versa. So those are some of the key things that people have had questions, coming to my office about. The goal here is to get our boating community running efficiently. We want to be able to get you out on the water and get you away from the congestion of the lack of ability to go into certain parks and places to distribute. This will help ease some of those areas. I'm working closely with a few other Harbormasters in the region, as well as state officials, on getting a better or more clear view of what the guidelines are as far as launch services. So those are the services that is in, as we know, Village Street and the yacht clubs absolutely need to get you to your boats. We're working hard to see if we can get a better, more defined way of offering that service up to you sooner better than later. But as of right now, we're working on the 18th as our beginning time for those to be running. So we don't stop. We're trying to find alternatives for all our boaters. And if you have any ideas, I'm always open to suggestions. So feel free to either email my office or give me a call.
Mark, thank you. I know that I saw Craig down in the waterfront over the weekend, and he said, you know, so the call of somebody already taking on some water out in Salem Sound came in already, and you know, people start launching their boats, and I'm going to say right off the bat that I've been guilty more than once, and this is a public service announcement right here. Don't forget to put the plug in when you launch your boat. But you know, every boat that goes out there is another instance where something could go wrong, and I know you guys are already on it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I can say too that.
Yep.
I'm trying to put an update weekly up on the town website and on our page, just of any changes or anything that's new or any regulations that are put in place. So if you do have questions, please check that first. That may answer a lot of the questions to the public first before you reach out to me. But I'll take any question at this point. So
that's great. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Chief Picariello.
Yeah.
With a newly minted Alabama graduate at home, living the dream. How can we help? What do we got from the police department?
So just a couple of things, and I can't remember if the causeway's been touched on or not, but I think it bears repeating if it has been, that we yesterday morning opened the causeway up to pedestrian traffic. With that comes the responsibility of the people using it to appropriately social distance, and if they can't social distance, to mask up. The signboard changed at the beach to reflect that statement. So hopefully everybody can do that, and we can leave it open now as long as everybody does what they're supposed to do when they cross. And the other thing I wanted to touch on real quickly was people may have seen some activity at the high school the other day. We had an opportunity where the high school wanted to give out signs to all of the graduating seniors for their lawns. And I applaud Andrew Petty for recognizing right away that that was an opportunity for us to do an exercise. So whether the seniors knew it or not, they helped us out by going through a pre-plan that we've had, but never really were able to use, of how we might run an emergency dispensing site or a test site at the high school facility. So we took those vehicles that came through, a couple of hundred, and ran them through and saw a couple of things we wanted to tweak because of it. So the planning goes on. The town is actively at work all the time trying to figure out how to look ahead and see what we can do better going forward. And that was a great help to us. And we'll be vetting out some of the changes next week probably and tweaking that. So things are looking good, and we got a lot of help out of that.
Great. That's great. Thank you very much for that. My perception of the causeway opening up is that there's a high likelihood that you will come in within 6 feet of somebody. So you shouldn't be, in my opinion, you shouldn't be going near the causeway unless you've got a mask around your neck and ready to go. But that's common sense. And somebody said on Facebook the other day, they're losing a little bit of faith in common sense. But so be it. Jason, did you have something to add to that?
No,
Okay.
I agree. I think, on the causeway, you should wear a mask.
Yeah. So we do have a couple of questions here. Ramsey asked, has the town considered putting electric street signs that support our policy on face masks? This will help as we go into summer with lots of town visitors. Could put on 3 main streets entering Marblehead that is doing, and then he said Marblehead is doing an incredible job. Thank you.
We have talked about utilizing the electric signboards that we have in the 3 locations we currently have them, and changing the message to reflect that. Yes.
And the message has been changed as of this morning.
Oh, we changed it this morning. Perfect.
I did it this morning. So
Good.
The 3 reflect either stay 6 feet apart or mask up.
Good.
Excellent. We know you've got the magic touch with the signs.
Yeah, that's the
Chief.
one where, somewhere along the line, someone figures out how to fix the copy machine in the office. I got that job somehow. But, it's all right. I enjoy doing
In
it.
capable hands, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Andrew, why is COVID-19's reported so lagged? One report per week pales in comparison with other towns and cities.
I mean, we are just straight out right now, and to try to do reporting every day and then answer all the questions behind it. We are a very small staff, so we're unable to do that. People shouldn't really be adjusting their what they're doing on a daily basis based on case count. So that's where we stand on that one.
And
We're going to have a couple. I'm sorry.
If
Go
I
ahead.
could just add to that, and it's not my job to speak for the Board of Health, but I think it's also fair to say that if there was a reason that the Board of Health or the town felt like we absolutely needed to get numbers out sooner, then I think that's something that would happen. But to Andrew's point, the case counts we know are probably smaller than what's actually out there right now. And you should modify your behavior in a way that makes an assumption that most people you're around has it.
Very good. Can we separate out either by number or percentage what the nursing home deaths are in relation to overall? The increase in deaths in 1 week has people really concerned. Yes, we all need to do our part, but as 59% of deaths in Massachusetts are due to nursing homes in the Commonwealth, that got cut off. Sorry, you get the gist of it.
Yeah, so we can take a look at how we do our case count and try to separate out between long-term care facilities and the other resident population. So that is something that we can take a look at.
Thank you. It might be good because we've heard, and my heart goes out. My brother-in-law works at Lafayette, and I mean, I can't imagine what our town nursing homes and staffing is going through. Just can't imagine. Let's see, on a little bit of a lighter note from Leslie, how do the rules apply to private docks, Mark? Private floats?
Well, private floats would be considered a household property. So I would follow the regulations just like you would if you were in your home on your property. But as soon as you have to interact with the public, other than your household, that would be what would fall in line with the guidelines at that point. Your floats are certainly welcome in the harbor. You can use them like you normally would, but I wouldn't congregate in those areas with your neighbors or whatnot without having proper social distancing and masks.
Thank you. And Mark, if somebody can't launch this year their boats because of social distancing, will it count against you not using your mooring for the year?
So this is a yes and no question. I've been taking these case by case. Every situation is obviously a little different. There's people out there that take advantage of a system or may have some habitual misuse. The overall is we'll tend to look past this season and whatever activities happen as far as the use of their moorings. But they need to be in contact with us and let us know what that situation is for them. My office is extremely sympathetic to this whole thing, so chances are, yes, we will look away this year in that case.
Excellent. Andrew, is the town going to offer antibody testing?
Not at this point. Obviously, if we were to start to do any kind of testing, we'd be taking guidelines from the state. So stay tuned on that.
Okay. So that sort of wraps it up. We had one other question about multifamily floats and instances like Glover Landing or Harborside, but we've got public floats and we've got private floats. I guess the one that would sort of be in the middle, which is used quite a bit, not for boats but for swimming, would be Crocker Park. Is there anything to report on that, Mark? What would the Crocker Park float?
At this time, that is not being installed because that would induce a gathering area.
Yeah.
And we're not going to install that at this point. We'll see how the summer goes and what the regulations and guidelines dictate, but that will be closed at this time.
Yeah.
And Jack, we're still waiting for guidelines for our beaches, which is also our public bathing beaches from the state, and as well as camp regulations.
Okay. So I know we took a couple weeks off, but I'm guessing that with the change in season and change in regulations, and hopefully at some point gearing towards re-entry, that we're going to be doing these, try to do these on a weekly basis again. I really, just checking one more sign here.
I could just add, Jack, just one quick
Yes,
thing.
Chief.
You know, if people are of a mind to gather, public or private property, you're still subject to a fine. The Attorney General's office has made it clear that just because you're on private property doesn't make you immune from a potential fine. Now, look, nobody wants to be out there fining, and we want to educate and get people to change behavior. But, you know, public or private property, it really doesn't matter. You're subject to a fine for social gathering in excess of
Anything over 10, anything
Right.
over 10.
in excess of the regulation, right?
Yeah.
Ramsey just added that it might be a good idea to add that you should wear a mask on the causeway. I think that can definitely go under consideration for sure. And I can tell you that before the call started and before we went live, you know, we were all lamenting, just like everybody else is, about the fact that this is no fun. The longer we get into it, the better the weather gets, the less fun it is. Nobody's here trying to be a buzzkill. This is all for public safety. If we're gonna yield on the side of caution, it's for public safety. It's not to be the takers away of the fun. So I thank all you all for coming on board. I don't know if anybody else has anything left to say, but that's great. Thank you all, and we'll be back in touch with our next date and time. And I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.